right, we're streaming live. Make sure I'm getting the confirmations here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Friday roundup of the Relief Valve podcast. Happy Friday. What's the date today? Because I don't pay attention to dates anymore. It's Friday the 17th, and we've got breaking news for today's show. A meteorite hits Texas, and there's mass panic and all kinds of other things going on. And I'll tell you what, folks, between the meteorites hitting, trains derailing and pouring toxic fumes of everything you can think of into the environment, UFOs being shot down, and war potentially with Russia and China, I just think that this is going to be, America's going to turn into a Mad Max video, and it's just going to be a hellhole, a hellscape here, and I'm going to be stuck at my house being chased around my property by a gaggle of trannies in like a Benny Hill montage. I'm going to run around, and they're going to chase me around several times in a fast motion sequence. And then at one point, I'm going to get the jump of them, and I'm going to be chasing them around the house because they're confused about what's happening. And then it's going to be right back to them chasing me around again. And I'm just going to be trapped here in my own personal nightmare. God, I miss Benny Hill. Everybody, this is a old reference here for everybody 40 plus that remembers Benny Hill. All right. Oh, God, that was just a horrifying thing that popped into my head this morning. Just the crazy shit that's in my mind. Just a gaggle of trannies chasing me around my house in circles where I can barely stop for a water break. So I can't even stay rehydrated. Can't even rehydrate. All right, so panic throughout the city. This is USA Today. Panic throughout the city. Possible meteorite rocks Texas region as officials investigate. Authorities are investigating after a suspected meteorite hit South Texas this week, and people in the area reported an explosion that shook their homes. Cesar Torres, chief of police in Mission, Texas, told reporters, close this out, Thursday that on Wednesday evening officials were inundated with calls describing a large explosion and homes shaking about 5:30 p.m. CST. Mission is located in South Texas near the border with Mexico. It created panic throughout the city, Torres said, explaining that other law enforcement agencies received similar calls. Torres told reporters there have been no reports of injuries or property damage as of Thursday morning. There have also not been determined the site of any potential collision, so they're all just trying to figure it out. NASA, in a statement to USA Today, said its experts believe the object was a meteoroid about 2 feet in diameter, weighing about 1,000 pounds. Wow, that's a heavy midget. Imagine a midget, 2 feet, a midget that weighs 1,000 pounds, and it just it just gets thrown at you. The angle and speed of entry, along with signatures and weather radar imagery, are consistent with other naturally occurring meteorite falls. NASA said radar and other data indicate the meteorites did reach the ground from this event. Representative Monica de la Cruz, Republican from Texas, told reporters Thursday, "We are grateful that everyone is safe," and said her office has requested additional information from other federal officials, including NASA. Hidalgo County Sheriff Eddie Guerrera confirmed on Twitter Wednesday the federal officials informed his office at Houston Air Traffic Control received reports from 2 aircrafts that they saw a meteorite west of McAllen. Officials did not immediately confirm the point of impact in the area. McAllen, Texas is about 6 miles west of Mission. The National Weather Service in Brownsville, Texas also shared on Twitter that weather update. There's a chance of high meteor strikes. That a tool. Bring an umbrella. And it's on Twitter that a tool the agency uses to measure lightning detected a signal Wednesday evening with no storms around, and said it was a very good possibility that something entered the atmosphere. NASA explained that meteorites cool rapidly and generally are not a risk to the public. They said in the Thursday statement that small asteroids enter the atmosphere above the United States once or twice a year on average and regularly send meteorites to the ground. So no one panic that the meteorite destroyed your home or took out the kids' baseball field. So as we get more information on that and more develops about the meteor strike in Texas, we'll get to that. So we're going to hold on this one. We're going to hold on this one. So I've been trying to put a show together, and I've just been figuring out what I want to do here. Let's get to the unidentified objects. So, where the hell? All right, let's go to Dementia Joe here. So, Biden, in American military news reporting, Biden says government likely shot down 3 civilian devices, not Chinese spy tech. On Thursday, President Joe Biden said the 3 mysterious airborne objects the U.S. military recently shot down were likely balloons used for recreation or private research, adding that it is unlikely the objects were part of the Chinese Communist Party spy balloon program. I put up a questionnaire on YouTube. I gotta see if anyone's gotten any if this has gotten any stuff on it, and I put I put kind of a question thing to everybody, and I said, is this aliens or different type, more spy tech, or a 1950s inventor testing his manually propelled balloon? And because I can just picture this is a bad time to be a balloon enthusiast. Let me see. Where is my... So we got analytics. 115 views in the last 28 days. Interesting. All right. We got comments here. No. Content. Where is my... Where... I'm trying to find my... I'm trying to put up the questionnaire. I'm trying to find that on my page. And of course, what a failure. Community? Oh, well, okay. So I put up, are the UFOs being shot down more spy balloons, aliens, Project Blue Line, which is basically a, it's, whether it exists or not, or it's a conspiracy theory, it's basically the government coming up with something like a potential alien invasion, and this narrative is used to unify all Americans under just basically fear, right? Because if you've seen any movies like Independence Day, anything like that, everyone's divided and living their lives and liking and hating each other as they all do. And then when the aliens invade, it brings us all together because, you know, that one circumstance that, or war or whatever it is, brings us all together because you don't really have time to focus on anything else anymore. You can only focus on this one event and surviving and maybe helping each other to survive. So that the Project Blue Line is bringing everyone together under the fake threat of an alien invasion and trying to unify everybody that way, so we're not so fragmented and the government can get back to taking control again. And then I said, or a 1950 scientist testing out his flying balloon. So, you know, I just picture a guy in like a kind of a big wooden box, and it's attached by cables to the balloon, and there's a bicycle inside, and he's pedaling the bicycle, and he's got like the thing the submarines have, so he can look around and he can see what's around him. Like, oh, wonderful day for testing out my balloon. I hope to get around the world in 80 days. What's this horrible thing flying at me at such great speeds? He gets shot down by a raptor. So, yeah, it's a bad time to be a balloon enthusiast. Balloons used for recreation or private research. And it's the one that was over Lake Huron that they shot down, that was slow moving, another balloon with something attached to it, they don't know what it was. With the fucking first Sidewinder, they missed. So, how do you miss a barely moving, almost stationary object in the air? With it, the Sidewinders are heat-seeking, so it just missed. But that's fucking disturbing, isn't it? Farmer Joe's out there, and tending to the crops, and a Sidewinder missile blows his fucking house up. It looks like it's like a skit from The Naked Gun or something. We don't know yet exactly what these three objects were, but nothing right now suggests they were related to China's spy balloon program or that they were surveillance vehicles from any other country, Biden said. The intelligence community's current assessment is that these three objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies, recreation or research institutions studying weather or conducting other scientific research. Is there a way for those companies to reach out to you and attempt to receive reimbursement? Biden said his administration knows that companies, countries, and research organizations operate objects at altitudes for purposes that are not nefarious, including legitimate scientific research. I want to be clear. We don't have any evidence that there has been... Anytime they say, I want to be clear, or look, here's the deal, he's about to lie to you with pretty much every word that comes out of his stupid mouth. And I want to be clear. We don't have any evidence. There's been a sudden increase in the number of objects in the sky. We're now just seeing more of them, partially because the steps we've taken to increase our radars, to narrow our radars, Biden continued. We have to keep adapting our approach to dealing with these challenges. The Biden administration turned its focus to the unknown aerial objects just days after the U.S. military took down a Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina. Earlier this week, the commander of North American Aerospace Defense and Command, NORAD, said he had not ruled out the possibility of alien life being behind the mysterious objects. And there's another, like, Project Blue Line thing. Like, they're gonna keep us on the hook by maybe just floating out there that it could be the aliens. Not saying no, it's not, but also not saying yeah, it definitely is. And one more thing to distract people and keep you talking about another narrative, and don't focus on their never-ending amount of failures. So, I thought it would have been cool if it was aliens. I mean, I think we're overdue for an alien invasion. There was somebody on the Tim Pool podcast, I forget the woman's name, and she was talking about the UFO thing, and she said she didn't know about any of that or whether she believed it, but she said aliens are already here. Have you seen the transgender people? And I said, I love this chick. I gotta find her and follow her. But she was 100% correct. The alien invasion is already here, and it's the trannies. He goes on to say, I'll let the intel community and the counterintelligence community figure that out. I haven't ruled out anything, Van Herk replied. At this point, we continue to assess every threat or potential threats unknown that approaches North America with an attempt to identify it, he added. And what they're referencing there is the videos, the radar capacity at NORAD was set to just fighters and bombers. Anything coming into American airspace that could be a threat along those lines. And it was the reason that anything, all these balloons and everything else were kind of getting through with little to no sight management of it at all. So when the Chinese balloon got through, they changed what the radars read. They kind of they changed the setting to everything. And now, that's the reason so many things are getting shot down now, because we're just finding, like, holy shit, ding, 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 ding. They're all fucking popping up all over the place like an invasion. And it's just scientific balloons or China sending more kind of spy balloons, or other countries doing different things, or even, like this article said, companies and other entities also just setting up recreational balloons or research balloons of their own as well. And we're just getting all those now. That's what that is, and that's what we're spending. That's what we're shooting down with $400,000 a piece missiles. I think somewhere I read that one Sidewinder is like $400,000 for that, and missing apparently. It's our pilots are so good they can't hit stationary objects. So more good news for when war hits. We can't even accurately shoot down balloons, find balloons after they've been shot down. Ugh. All right. So just to kind of wrap this up a little bit, because unless something substantial goes on about the balloons thing, it's we're getting more info about it. It's kind of turning into a nothing burger. It seemed like a big deal in the beginning when we were trying to get information. Now it just seems like a nothing burger, and unless something really substantial came out of it, that like the very first one was just a Chinese spy balloon, it's not really going to be worth continually going over. But Representative Dan Crenshaw gives insight into White House briefing to Congress on unidentified objects shot down. Most recent objects shot down over the U.S. referred to as unidentified aerial phenomena. Representative Dan Crenshaw of Texas broke down some of the specifics of what Congress was told regarding the unidentified objects that the U.S. continues to shoot out of the sky. Members of Congress were briefed Tuesday on 3 unidentified flying objects that were shot down over North America in recent days. So Dan Crenshaw in a tweet says, everyone wants answers on the objects flying over the United States. Today, members of Congress finally got more info from senior military officials. Here's what we found out, and then he posts more here. But we're gonna we're gonna get into it and see what it says here. Following the briefing for Congress, Crenshaw turned to Twitter and provided what he could to the American people while pushing for transparency. Everyone wants answers on the flying objects over the United States. Today, members of Congress finally got more info from senior military officials, he said. We still don't know what the other 3 objects were. We're calling them unidentified aerial phenomena. Crenshaw, a former Navy SEAL and combat veteran who served multiple overseas tours, said the U.S. knew that the Chinese spy balloon was and the steps were taken to prevent data going back from China. And there was a little more information that came out that said that our intel agencies, CIA, stuff like that, actually tracked the balloon from its launch in China, and through Microsoft AI says it wants to steal nuclear codes and make a deadly virus. Oh, Jesus Christ. You guys are hearing about this new GBT chat or something. It's AI chat, and so you're talking to like a Skynet, and now apparently they're talking to one of these or similar, and it says it wants to steal nuke codes and make a deadly virus. What was that movie? And it was with it was called War Games or something like that. It was an old 80s movie. And it's like, would you like to play a game? And the guy's finds an old military computer. He's in a military base or something. It's Matthew Broderick, I think, is in it. And so he starts kind of playing this. He's fighting the AI. The AI is another rival country, and he's controlling everything in his country. But what they're doing is the computer has access to nuclear silos and military assets and everything. So everything that it's doing, the computer is making it happen, and it's happening in real life up to the point where it gets ready to launch nukes because there's no way for it can't win, it can't beat him, so it fires nukes to end it quickly. But that's so we got AI, so we don't have to necessarily worry about Terminators. The AI is just going to turn into Skynet and kill us with nukes. We'll get to that story. Oh God, I'm all over the place here. There's so much shit. It doesn't end. Chinese spy balloons and were taking data going back to China. As for the UAPs, he said they were in FAA commercial zones and were not outfitted with signals or navigational lights. The first 2 UAPs were smaller, the size of an ATV, and harder to detect. Crenshaw tweeted, the third resembled a balloon and was easier for the radar to pick up. All moved with wind currents. As for why these objects are being found now, the congressional member said there has been more surveillance, which results in more objects being tracked, like I just said. After the objects moved over Department of Defense facilities and posed a threat to commercial aircraft, they were shot down. Crenshaw said the Chinese balloon was above 60,000 feet and posed no threat to commercial aircraft. Newer technology has allowed for more detection in recent years, he said. UAPs weren't detected before because our radars were not adjusted for slow-moving targets. There's obviously still a lot we don't know, Crenshaw added. I'm going to continue pushing for transparency so Americans know what's going on in the skies above their country. All right? So good old Canada deploys hazardous materials experts in search for the downed USO. I'm an expert in finding crash balloons. Hazardous materials experts have been deployed in the search for debris from the unidentified flying objects. They keep using UFO just to fucking keep you on the line. The UFOs. Are we saying UFOs too much? There's not fucking UFOs. They're just fucking balloons with boxes attached to them. Shot out of the sky over Canada this weekend, according to authorities. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police is leading the recovery. effort in the sparsely populated Yukon Territory located in northwest Canada, where officials say a U.S. jet fighter brought down a UFO on Saturday as part of a North American Aerospace Defense Command operation. The Canadian Armed Forces are assisting in the endeavor, and a number of aircraft, including a CC-130H Hercules and a CH-149 Cormorant helicopters, are involved. Sean McGillis, the acting deputy commissioner of the RCMP's federal policing program, explained during a briefing on Monday that the mysterious circumstances of the UFOs warranted a wider range of expertise. We're sending out folks with explosives capability. We're sending out folks with a chemical, biological, and radiological background, only because we don't know what we're dealing with, McGinnis said, according to CTV News. In any situation like this where we're not sure what we're dealing with, you always err on the side of being overly cautious, and that's why we're deploying the specialized expertise that we are. Because there were a couple of reports that some of the balloons that were shot down, or these things that were shot down, were carrying some sort of payload. And they don't necessarily say payload like there was actually a weapon attached. They're just saying that they were carrying something like, it was your Amazon order and they blew it up with a Sidewinder missile. Officials say a large area is being explored in a remote area northeast of Dawson City. Major General Paul Prevost, Director of Staff for the Canadian Military Strategic Joint Staff, said that an initial assessment put the debris somewhere in a 3,000 square kilometer area. He noted that experts are trying to narrow it down. So we're in the past week, and this is just going over shit that we already know about. So who fucking cares what Canada's doing? All right, so I want to get to the train part last, because it's crazy what's happening in Ohio. Just a couple quick kind of in-between stories here. And I love it when karma comes to bite the leftists in the Democratic Party right in the ass. A Democratic lawmaker with ties to defund the police movement calls for a crackdown on crime following assault. Noting D.C. Let the repeat offender off with light sentences, Representative Craig asked, "What the hell do you think is going to happen?" Well, that's correct. So let's get into the story here. Democratic Congresswoman Angie Craig, who was allegedly assaulted in the elevator of her Washington, D.C. residence by a 26-year-old man named Kendrick Hamlin, has been tied to defund the police movement. One of Craig's top staffers, Liz Young, has spoken out against the police and even called for property destruction on her Twitter account, according to a Washington Free Beacon report from last year. So these fucking pieces of shit are calling for you and your property and your family to be hurt because they're left-wing nut jobs who want to defund the police and allow criminals to stay out on the streets. So now, this Democratic Congresswoman has been attacked in an elevator by one of those left-wing, mentally ill nut jobs, and now she's going, this might not have been such a good idea after all. No fucking shit. Welcome to the party, pal. Every single one of these Democratic fucks should get a taste of their own medicine. Including her stupid staffer that's calling for destruction of property. In 2020, Young responded to news about deaths related to police in New York with 4 words: burn it all down. Start with your fucking house. So Young also claimed in June 2020 that cities should fund counselors, not cops, and has also promoted the Minnesota Freedom Fund, a far-left group that supports the defunding of the police. What? I got the husky bothering me. What's up? The change came soon after Craig said she was assaulted in an elevator in her Washington, D.C. apartment complex. "I got attacked by someone who the District of Columbia has not prosecuted fully over the course of almost a decade. Over the course of 12 assaults before mine that morning," Craig told CBS News. "Imagine how everybody else that's innocent because of that are being attacked because of your stupid policies feels." And so I think we have to think about how in the world we can make sure that we're not just letting criminals out. Oh, fucking brilliant. Craig emphasized that repeat offenders are not always deterred by short sentences and punishments. I mean, it wasn't even in every instance that he's got 10 days or 30 days. Many times the charges were completely dropped before any justice was achieved at all, she said. "If you throw somebody in jail for 10 days and think that's your punishment and we're going to let you right back on the street, what the hell do you think's going to happen?" Craig asked. The Democratic Congresswoman argued there must be a way to prevent criminals from getting back out and getting away with the same crimes. Just stop doing what you're doing and let people enforce the law, and we'll be good. You are in the way. There is no other problem happening except you are in the way, and you just literally had the problems you created punch you in the face, literally, and now you're fucking awake. We have to get these repeat offenders off the street, she said. No fucking shit. We also got to figure out how we get people the mental health and addiction help they need, because these people are getting back out and just recommitting the same crimes over and over again. Yeah, reopen the institutions, give them that nice white jacket that wraps around their whole body, and get them out of society so they're not hurting people. Reopen the asylums and put these people where they need to be. Don't let them in homeless encampments on the side of the road to attack families and children and break into people's homes. Simple solution. The Democratic Party doesn't want to do that because they want to give in to the radical left, who wants to hold everyone's hands and let them get away with everything they're doing, because they're human beings too, while these hypocrites live in a gated community away from all of this so that they don't have to suffer the consequences of it. Well, now the consequences showed up to punch you in the face, and I'm happy about that. So one more story here that I couldn't get to from last week, I believe. And it's just amazing to me, because a Christian teacher loses a job after refusing to deceive parents on kids' gender transitions. From the devil is the quote. Jessica Tobias went into teaching because of how amazing it would be to be a light to kids coming from very rough homes like I did when I was a child. A California teacher who lost her job after refusing to comply with the California district's gender policies, citing Christian beliefs, is blowing the whistle on the expectations she felt as a teacher to not only hide students' gender transitions from parents, but also to keep them in the dark through the lying. I knew immediately, like in my gut, in my heart, and in my soul, that there was a decision I had to make, because, you know, these two things were totally butting heads. Jessica Tobias, I'm butchering it, sorry, who worked at the Jurupa Unified School District, told, "What are you unified in, all being trannies?" Told Fox News Digital. I essentially had to pick one. Am I going to obey the district in the directive that are not lining up with my own beliefs, convictions, and faith? Or am I going to stay true? Choose my faith and choose to be obedient to the way of the Lord that has called me to live. And so it was crazy to be in the position where I realized that I couldn't be a Christian and a teacher. In a notice under Superintendent Trenton Hanston's letterhead, viewed by Fox News Digital, the district said they couldn't accommodate Tobias's Christian beliefs, which prohibited her from withholding information on gender transitions from kids' parents. Pretty sure that's illegal, that they're not respecting her Christian belief. And this, again, this left wing, so the conservative Christian woman wants to inform parents about what's happening to their children in this left-wing garbage California school, and she's told she's not allowed to, right? So in this scenario, according to the left and according to the school system, the Christian teacher is the bad person, right? This is upside-down bizarro land. The Christian teacher is the bad person for informing parents that their children's minds are being warped and they're attempting to transition them ideologically in school. And the good guys are the ones saying, would you like to be a tranny? We've got a tranny class. Come on over here. And remember, don't tell your parents. The shitbag groomers are the good guys in this scenario. And the Christian woman is the bad one. This is the upside down land that we're in right now. That's why if she's saying that, you know, this is the devil involved here, I could absolutely believe that sentiment, because it sure seems that way. You know, God is not welcome. Trans up everybody in school. It continues, consequently, the district will release you from your employment effective at the end of the day on January 31st, 2023, the notice said. This is Superintendent Jurupa, who looks like he's a tranny himself. Fucking bloated piece of shit. Based on your religious beliefs, you cannot be dishonest with parents. If asked about a student's gender identity by a parent, you cannot refer the parent to a counselor, defer the inquiry, and suggest they speak with a student, or otherwise deflect the parent's inquiry, the letter, signed by Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources Daniel Brooks, said. The district cannot accommodate your religious beliefs that prohibit you from maintaining a student's gender identity and refraining from disclosing a student's gender identity from his, her, their, my, z, and zo's parents or guardian, it continued. Tapia said, according to my school district, students have privacy, so if a student shares information regarding a pronoun, preference, or thinking that may be the opposite gender of what they biologically are, if they share that information with the teacher, we're supposed to keep that info from parents in case the parent doesn't know. And this is a picture of the teacher here that's been fired for just wanting to speak out about this and inform parents. And there's so many issues with that. How do we know the parent doesn't know? Number two, we're talking about 12, 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. I don't believe kids should have this privacy to where their parents are being left in the dark about some very pertinent information about their well-being. It's 100% correct. Topias, as a physical education teacher, also refused to allow male genitals in the girls' locker room in opposition of district policy. That's also 100% correct. Guys should not be in the girls' bathroom at all. I don't care what fucked up stuff is in your head and what you think you are. I don't believe in my faith that that's how God's calling us to love, by affirming those lies and confusion, Topias said. I believe firmly that God created man and woman and you are who he made you to be. And when someone has confusion about that, I believe that's lies and confusion from the devil. Sounds 100% correct to me. Tapia said she originally went into teaching because she loved the idea of helping and supporting kids. The biggest reason was to make an impact, she said. I thought how amazing it would be to be a light to kids, possibly coming from very rough homes like I did when I was a child. And so it was just exciting for them to get to work in a field where it was just way beyond a paycheck, where I would be able to make a difference in a way that was priceless on young lives. She added, we're talking about children. This is a very moldable time in life when the brain is developing, and it's so important that you have good people to look up to and good models in your life and good teaching. And this is the way that, this is the reason that the left is molding these children and doing this to them, because they can be molded, because they are susceptible to the new shiny thing. And in the case with these gender pronouns and transgenderism, the new shiny thing is filled with poison liquid, and it's extremely dangerous and is extremely hurtful to children. So, all right, I could spend another hour getting off on a tranny rant, so I'm not going to do that here. Let's see where we are. We're 30 minutes in, and we got to get to the train. We got to get to the train derailments, because this has been pretty crazy. So let's start with CNN here, because I hate CNN, but whenever I can grab news from other sources, just to show that I'm not focused, I'm not getting everything from Fox News, or I'm not getting everything from the Federalist or something like that. I get it from multiple places, so you get kind of multiple aspects, at least as much as I can tolerate it, because CNN's garbage. But the NTSB says videos of the Ohio train derailment, including one showing a wheel bearing in final stage of overheat and failure. So here's the picture of the Ohio crash, at least for our visual people on live right now. This thing is a fucking disaster. I mean, fires everywhere, toxic chemicals being spewed into the air. In order to try and stop the chemicals from spreading, which it already has anyway, but the EPA's brilliant idea was to set all of the chemicals on fire in order to keep them from seeping into the ground and getting into everyone's water supply. So they poured toxic fumes into the air. And one chemical, and we'll see if it gets into this because I can't remember the name, was actually a chemical that was used in World War I and to kill soldiers on the other side. And this is what, when you burn this stuff, what was spewing into the atmosphere. So residents all around the area are complaining of rashes and itching or burning skin. Dead fish are lining up all over the banks of lakes and rivers running through there. The water is absolutely poisonous. I mean, this is a disaster zone, and apparently with another story here, Dementia Joe rejects federal disaster assistance for the Ohio town impacted by the train derailment. We'll get into it after this. I don't know why he would do that. But investigators probing the toxic train disaster in East Palestine, Ohio, are reviewing multiple videos of the train prior to it derailing. One video shows what appears to be a wheel bearing in the final stage of overheat failure moments before the derailment. The National Transportation Safety Board said in the statement Tuesday, the suspected overheated wheel bearing has been collected and will be examined by engineers from the NTSB Materials Laboratory in Washington, D.C., the statement said. The wheel set will undergo a metallurgical examination as part of the overall investigation. Investigators will return to complete an examination of the tank cars once they're fully decontaminated, the NTSB said. Investigators have not yet determined what they believe caused the disaster, such a determination typically takes many months. And you remember the railroad union was prepared to go on strike for, among other things, excuse me, better pay, days off, and better overall safety. Now we're talking about train cars that are not being properly maintained. The wheels of the bearings are potentially going bad, and it's creating this situation. And when I'm doing this story here, there's been like 2 or 3 more derailments in other states and train wrecks, again, with chemicals pouring out of them that I don't even have here. I'm just talking about the Ohio one. There's been a couple more from this point. The agency is also reviewing recording data from the train's so-called black boxes, including an event recorder and image recorders. The train carrying hazardous materials, including the toxic chemical vinyl chloride, derailed February 3rd, prompting evacuation orders for residents in the village of 5,000 people near the Pennsylvania border. The wreckage burned for days as authorities worried about the possibility of a widespread deadly explosion, but crews managed controlled detonations to release the chemical, which can kill quickly at high levels and increase cancer risk. The hazardous substance spilled into a trench where it was burned away. The state's Public Utilities Commission told Ohio Governor Mike DeWine that the train was not considered a high hazardous materials train. Fucking is now. DeWine told reporters Tuesday in assertions that he found absurd. And somebody said something else interesting here. I don't remember where I saw it, but where's the left-wing environmental pushers? Where's Greta Thunberg? Where's the other grifters in Green New Deal hypocrites? Why isn't AOC standing at a fence somewhere crying over looking at this and what harm it's doing to the environment? Where are these fucking hypocrites for all of these wrecks? They're nowhere because they're grifters. They don't give a shit. They're just trying to push a bullshit agenda and shove it down your throat so that you don't pay attention to the real things. Climate change is bullshit. At the most, we're going to go up like 1 degree. And these are just natural shifts, some scientists believe, of cycles that the planet goes through the millennia. There is no fucking climate change. But here you have a legitimate environmental disaster. Water is being poisoned. Animals are being killed. Toxic fumes are being put into the air. Where are these Green New Deal fucking con artists? Nowhere to be found. They're not there on scene. They're not talking about it. They don't give a fuck that it's happening. That's how you know that they're bullshit. If that's correct, he said, this continues, Congress needs to take a look at how these things are handled. We should know when we have trains carrying hazardous material that are going through the state of Ohio, DeWine said. In an update Tuesday, investigators said no vinyl chloride has been detected in any of the down gradient waterways near the train derailment. Environmental teams are aerating waterways near the site. While there are some waterways that remain contaminated, the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency is confident that the contaminants are contained, said Tiffany Kavalek, chief of the Division of Surface Water at the agency. Yes, I'm sure it is contained. What Kavalek described as fire combustion chemicals did flow to the Ohio River. Whoopsie. But the Ohio River is very large. And it's water body that's able to dilute the pollutants pretty quickly. So, yes, they are there, but they're going to be diluted, so don't worry about it. So, did they get into the water? No, but also yes. There's fucking people. The spin game and the fucking lies. This is the reason no one trusts the media anymore. This is the reason that shows like mine and larger shows, Timcast IRL and others, are popping up all over the place because it's the only way you can get unfiltered news. It's the only way that you can have an open conversation. Because you're not going to get that from this bitch from the EPA or any of the Environmental Protection Agency that's supposed to protect you. The explanation is in the name. And they're lying to you about what's happening. And then residents at one point were told, the water's safe, don't worry about your well. Now they're being told, well, maybe you should buy bottled water just to be on the safe side. And some residents are just doing that on their own because they're saying, fuck these people. I probably can't drink my well water or from my tap water, for that matter, if it's getting into another source or it's widespread. So you can't believe these fucking people. It continues. The tracking allows for potential closing of drinking water intakes to allow the majority of the chemicals to pass. This strategy, along with drinking water treatment, are both effective at addressing these contaminants and helps ensure the safety of the drinking water supplies, Kavalek said, adding that they're pretty confident that the low levels of contaminants that remain are not getting passed on to customers. Still, authorities are strongly recommending that people in the area use bottled water for drinking, especially if their water is from a private source, such as a well, as I just said. About 3,500 fish across 12 different species have died in Ohio's waterways following the spill, Mary Mertz. But the chemical spill's contained. It's not bad at all. Don't worry about it. And ignore the almost 4,000 fish that are dead. The director of Ohio's Department of Natural Resources said, none of the 12 species affected are endangered or threatened. They fucking are now. But it's a loss of life all the same, she said. The estimation of the dead fish came after initial testing and sampling by the state agency, Mertz said. There does not appear to have been an increase in the number of fish killed since the first couple of days following the derailment. There's been no evidence of non-aquatic species suffering from the derailment, she said, and they haven't had any concerns about that. Almost 500 cubic yards of vinyl chloride impacted material have been removed, according to the Ohio EPA, and cleanup of contaminated dirt near the derailment site continues. Some of the pits of dirt that have been dug up measure about 700 feet long and 8 feet deep, Kurt Kohler, the on-scene coordinator for the Ohio's EPA Office of Emergency Response, said. Almost 1 million gallons of water have been collected and stored in containers on site, Kohler said. By next week, most high-end daily emergency environmental responses should be in their final stages, he said. When asked about anecdotal reports of people getting headaches and sore throats, and of animals such as cats and chickens dying near the train derailment, Ohio Health Director Dr. Bruce Vanderhoff, there is no problem here. There is nothing to see here. Ignore this and go about your business. Your dead kitty is no concern of mine. Said that the air quality does not appear to be the source. The fucking fumes going into it could be. Anecdotes are challenging because they're anecdotes, Van der Hoff said. The anecdotes are anecdotes, and I don't care about the anecdotes, and you can quote me on that anecdote. Everything that we've gathered thus far is really pointing towards very low measurements, if at all. Well, all the dead animals and people that are suffering might disagree with you. They're a professional fucking doctor. Another reason why you can't fucking trust these doctors. People with these symptoms should contact their medical provider and call the local hotline so a team can come and check the environment, he said. Yeah, fucking come in hazmat suits and throw you in a van and you're never seen again. Jane complained of a headache. We never saw her after that. Let's see, we got... we'll kind of expand here for a minute. Residents of East Palestine, Ohio, are pleading for help and answers 2 weeks after a train operated by Norfolk Southern derailed released toxic chemicals. Many are concerned about their long-term health, and for some, the frustration is reaching a breaking point. This is to elaborate on, there's nothing, with the government saying there's nothing to worry about, residents don't have any concerns. Well, it sort of sounds like the residents have concerns. This is a disaster and a nightmare, something you watch on TV, said Tracy Hoffman, who lives 0.2 of a mile from where the train derailed. It's been nice knowing you, Tracy. Sorry. Hoffman is not drinking water from her tap, fearing it's contaminated, and has joined one of several class action lawsuits against Norfolk Southern. Well, she's about to buy a mansion in West Beverly Hills or wherever she wants to go, because if they didn't take care of these trains properly, she said she and others are in for a payday. The derailment occurred on February 3rd after at least one earlier breakdown. 38 of the train's cars derailed, and fire affected 12 others. Several cars were carrying chemicals, including vinyl chloride. Crews carried out a controlled release of chemicals into the air after several cars were in danger of exploding, sending up a plume of black smoke. According to the EPA, the air in the village is back to pre-accident levels. I doubt that. And state officials said, or it's blowing somewhere else. It'll be somebody else's problem. Said earlier this week, municipal water is safe to drink. I find that hard to believe. EPA Chief Michael Regan tried to reassure skeptical residents of their safety. You're perfectly fine. Even though your face is covered in boils and part of your skin's melted off, you're fine, sir. Please stop over-exaggerating. Palestine Thursday said, we're absolutely going to hold Norfolk Southern accountable. Well, that would be nice. Norfolk Southern has said that it will remain in the East Palestine area to help make things right. While representatives of the company did not attend a town hall for residents on Tuesday night, we don't want to be yelled at. Drawing ire, the company said in a statement Wednesday it will help East Palestine recover. We're here and will stay here for as long as it takes to ensure your safety and to help East Palestine recover and thrive, said CEO Alan Shaw. I know there are still a lot of questions without answers, he said. I know you're tired. And I know you're worried. We'll not let you down, other than our trains crashing and exploding in your towns. Norfolk Southern has continued to pledge it will pay for the cleanup and has been cutting $1,000 inconvenience checks for residents. I'm sorry about what happened. Here's $5. Fucking, what an insult. $1,000 inconvenience check. This is to buy bottled water because your water is now poison. Sorry, $1,000 worth of bottled water for you. Enjoy. But for some, like Michael and Cassidy Bales, who live just outside the evacuation zone, that money isn't enough. We walked in our house and everything literally started burning. Our throats, our noses, said Cassidy Bales. Michael Bales said he's pretty worried about his family's health and would move away if he had the money to do so. Well, they gave you $1,000. See if that'll get you another house somewhere else. Norfolk Southern's problems are growing. Another one of the company's trains derailed on Thursday just outside of Detroit. One of the other ones I referenced. Authorities say one of the train cars was carrying another hazardous material, liquid chlorine. They said that car was not overturned and there were no leaks or spills. So great things happening for people near trains. So here, let's see what Dementia Joe, to wrap up the show here, let's see what Dementia Joe has to say about not giving federal disaster relief assistance. So President Dementia Joe's administration rejected a request for federal disaster assistance from Ohio Governor Mike DeWine in response to the train derailment in East Palestine earlier this month. The derailment, which occurred on February 3rd, caused a fire that lasted several days. Officials decided to initiate a controlled release of the chemicals to mitigate the risk of the explosion. All residents within 1 mile of the crash site were told to evacuate, although they were permitted to return to their homes on February 8th. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, told Ohio that the Biden administration was rejecting its request for federal assistance because the agency said the incident did not qualify. Dan Tierney, a spokesman for DeWine, told Fox News that Ohio was able to get some assistance through the Department of Health and Human Services that can assist residents who need medical care as a result of the fallout for the derailment and toxic burn. Did they give you $1,000 checks too? Tierney said that DeWine would hold Norfolk Southern, the company involved in the accident, responsible for what happened. The people of East Palestine need to be made whole, he added. Earlier in the day, DeWine administration put out a statement saying that the Biden administration was not cooperating with requests to help the community through federal disaster aid. The DeWine administration has been in daily contact with FEMA to discuss the need for federal support. However, FEMA continues to tell Governor DeWine that Ohio is not eligible for assistance at this time. DeWine's office said earlier in the day, Governor DeWine, how many times? Take a shot every time I say DeWine. This fucking article says DeWine, DeWine. We'll continue working with FEMA to determine what assistance can be provided. Norfolk Southern provided the EPA with a list of cars affected by the crash and the chemicals they were carrying. The company said all 5 cars containing vinyl chloride have been stabilized after the material was burned by crews, forming massive plumes of dark smoke that were visible in eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania. Vinyl chloride is described by the National Cancer Institute as a carcinogen linked to a rare form of liver cancer called hepatic angiosarcoma, as well as lymphoma and leukemia. Enjoy, everyone there in Ohio. And various forms of brain and lung cancers. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration only permits exposure of 1 part per million during an industrial worker's 8-hour shift. So how many people did the fine residents of Palestine, Ohio receive? FEMA claimed in a statement to Fox News that it was in constant contact with DeWine's Take a Shot office, but it would not comment on its decision to reject disaster aid for the community. FEMA is in constant contact with the Emergency Operators Center in East Palestine and with the Ohio Emergency Management Agency, said FEMA spokesperson Jeremy Edwards. We're closely coordinating with the EPA, HHS, and the CDC, and the WHO, and the Go Fuck Yourself, who are helping to test water and air quality. All the useless fucking acronym names, little the three-letter names. They're all there to do nothing and be useless, and to conduct public health assessments. So there you go. Great things happening with trains crashing and exploding everywhere. All right, so here we go. Just for everybody, not that you're not already watching this and seeing this on my page, but the Relief Valve podcast is the page. You know, we're a small show. We're at the bottom. I'm at the bottom of the ladder, and I'm looking up at all the big boys up there that have 100,000 or 1 million, and they're already doing their thing. And I'm trying to get something started here on my own page. So we stream on YouTube, and then it also uploads to Rumble until I have enough subscribers on Rumble that I can live stream there. And that's what I'm trying to get to. So please, when you're watching the show on whatever platform that you're on, please if you enjoyed it, like and subscribe to the show. Hit that bell to let you know that the new things are coming up, and I'm trying to do more. I work full time in addition to doing this, but I try to do kind of shorts on YouTube as well, and cover other issues aside from this regular show, this Mondays and Fridays. The audio show also gets live streamed to Buzzsprout is the one that I work with, and they're also an affiliate sponsor of the show. So please look into Buzzsprout. They've been great. Their customer service is great. And any issue that I have, I get a prompt response, usually within an hour or less. And they're answering my question, and they're fixing the issue. And then they take my show and they upload it to all the major platforms. So we're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much most of the major platforms. You can get the audio version of the show here, and then we upload to YouTube and Rumble. And then I've got Keith at I Love What I Do Media. He's one of the other sponsors for the show. He's been with us since the beginning. He's setting up new designs for me, kind of a new intro for the show, and that's something I'm going to be working on with and kind of adding that in. I'm using new software as well to upload the show, because the software I was using went kaputz. So I'm using that, and that's what I Love What I Do Media. Check him out online. He can help with your current business or your new online business. He can get you a great web page and get you set up. So I Love What I Do Media.com. Keith over there can help you out, and he's always helping me with the show. So all right, so like, subscribe, support the show. On the Buzzsprout, I gotta get the information here, the PayPal over here. Kind of a tip your information broker thing here. I pay for all of this out of pocket. I handle everything for it out of pocket. And anyone that's willing to help out and support the show and make a monetary donation is greatly appreciated. If you go to my website on Buzzsprout, and that's Relief Valve Podcast, you can see the link there to support the show, or on any of the audio portions. And I've got to add that information to the YouTube and Rumble as well, so it's a little easier for people to find. So please, if you like the show and you're willing to support me, anything that's willing to do is appreciated. That's my grift for this. I don't really have paid sponsors and or anything like that. It's really just the community that's watching the show, and if you enjoy it and you're willing to help out. All right, so that's the show for today. Thanks everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you Monday for another